I'm looking at the bushfire offence, and in this part I'm going to explore the offence before we start following the actual cases. Because hold on to your seats, there is a case already and the season hasn't even started. I'm looking at New South Wales laws. However, I note that other states have their own legislation and are generally very similar. The charge is intentionally cause fire and be reckless as to its spread. It's section 203E of the Crimes Act and we're in New South Wales. There are many arson type offences. I'm only looking at the section 203E, the bushfire offence. If the defendant pleads not guilty, the prosecution must prove the following elements beyond reasonable doubt. There are two elements. Firstly, that the defendant intentionally caused the fire. And the second one is that the defendant was reckless as to the spread of the fire to vegetation on public or private land. The maximum penalty is 21 years imprisonment, meaning a person could be sentenced to anything from 0 to a fine to a community correction order or jail, but it must be less than 21 years jail. It's one of the big offences. What I mean is driving causing death has a maximum sentence of 10 years imprisonment, manslaughter has a maximum of 25 years imprisonment, while murder has a maximum of life imprisonment. So the bushfire offence has 21 years max. So it's up there with some of the other quite serious offences. In 2018, the maximum sentence for the bushfire offence increased from 14 years to the now 21 years imprisonment, while in 2019, the standard non-parole period for the bushfire offence increased from 5 years to 9 years. Bushfires kill people. In New South Wales this year, and I'm making this in August 2023, there has already been a volunteer firefighter who's been killed responding to a fire, and a landholder who was killed attempting to protect their property. In the Hunter Valley, over the years, there have been deaths. In 2015, a volunteer firefighter died responding to a fire near Curry. At a press conference, his death was announced by the then New South Wales Rural Fire Service Commissioner, who himself had a family member, also a firefighter, killed in a bushfire in 2000 along with 3 other firefighters. In 2002, a member of the public was killed at Abernathy near Cessnock by a bushfire which was found to be deliberately lit. Bushfires kill people. There is something like 400,000 bushfires in Australia every year. There's plenty of statistics and studies that indicate about half of them are either naturally caused or accidental, but the other half have an unknown cause or are suspicious. There are heaps of studies online. Only a small number of people are actually charged with this offence. This is interesting. What I mean is that with only a small number, there is not a lot of information to assist exploring the criminology of this offence. So if you want to look at why people do this crime, there might only be a couple of people a year to analyse, with a possible large number never arrested. When there is an arrest, you usually hear about it. Police will generally issue a media release. Sometimes they will also include a video of the arrest. We've all seen those videos on the news with the police logo and the blurred faces and the person in the cuffs, and sometimes they're in their underpants if it's been an early morning raid. Generally, the TV and newspapers will cover the arrest and the court proceedings. The media is where you'll find a lot of information about these cases. Before we go on to the next part, I want to say something about the firefighter aspect. Yes, firefighters have been charged with this offence, both retained and volunteer. Honestly, I don't feel comfortable attaching the fire service to the criminal activity of that of an individual. In my opinion, it seems so easy to label or attach an individual's behaviour to a whole organisation. So I'm going to be really careful here out of respect to the many firefighters we have in New South Wales that choose not to start bushfires. With that said, I will still mention if the person has firefighting experience. Why? Because I think it is relevant to the individual, not the fire service. Someone who has that sort of experience as a firefighter understands the real impact of a bushfire. They see the bush burn, the animals killed, the people terrified, the homes lost. They feel the heat, they breathe the smoke, and they see the cost up close. You may or may not have had a brush with a bushfire. I'm going to go as far as to claim that most Australians understand the impact of a bushfire. Through the images on TV, social media and the internet, we see people flee, homes burnt, the chaos, the firefighting, the animals escaping. You know what will happen if you start a bushfire in Australia. So next I'll look at some past cases.